Hello friends, welcome to StudyIQ. Let us continue our discussion on inflation. For those who have missed the previous videos on inflation, please go back to the previous videos on inflation and then come back to this topic so that there will be a clear understanding of what we learned today in this session. So today, let us start with the measurement of inflation. In India, we have index to measure the inflation. We have indices or index to measure inflation. When we say index or indice, what does it mean? We have many indexes. Example, Sensex, Nifty. When it comes to inflation, we have wholesale price index, consumer price index, etc. So let us learn about this indices. Price index. What is a price index? Price index is simply the average of certain items or commodities. So it is average of commodities. Let us see how is an index created. To understand that, we should know what is a base year. Base year refers to a normal year without much fluctuations in the price. Base year is taken in order to compare the prices. So the purpose of base year is to compare the prices with the present year. We also have a current year in which we take the prices of the present year. So let us see how is an index created. So we know the current year price. We also know the base year price. So if we know the current year price and the base year price, it's very easy to create an index. Let us see how. So price index equal to current year price divided by base year price. So that is current year price divided by base year price gives you price index. So from this price index, how will we calculate the inflation rate? Let us see. So inflation rate is calculated from this index. So inflation rate equal to the current year price index minus the previous year price index divided by the previous year price index into 100. So we know how to create a price index. So we can create a price index for the current year as well as for the previous year. So how do you create a price index? Price index means current year price divided by base year price. And how to create the price index of the previous year? That is previous year price divided by the base year price into price index of the previous year is previous year price divided by the price of the base year. So if you can get the price indices of the current year and the previous year, we can calculate the inflation rate by deducting the price index of the previous year from the current year divided by the previous year price index into 100. Let us quickly recap. So what is a price index? Price index means the average of certain items. So it is an average. How is price index calculated? Price index is calculated by dividing current year price divided by the base year price. And what is a base year? Base year means a normal year without much fluctuations in the price. And if you know the price index of current year and the previous year, you can calculate the inflation rate. So inflation rate equal to current year price index minus previous year price index divided by previous year price index into 100. Hope this is clear for you. Now let us discuss about another concept, that is the base effect. To understand the concept of base effect, let us take an example. The price of onion. Let us take the price of onion in the year 2000, 2015, 2016 and 2017. Assume that the price of onion in 2000 was rupees 12. In 2015, the price was 20 rupees. In 2016, the price jumped up to 80 rupees. And in 2017, the price is 76 rupees. So now here we will see that from 2000 to 2015, that is in a margin of 15 years, the price has gone up by 8 rupees. But in 2016, there was a sudden jump from rupees 20 to 80. That means it has inflated many a times and there is a difference of 60 rupees. And in 2017, comparing to the price in 2016, the price has come down by rupees 4. So can we say that there is no inflation in the economy or the rate of inflation in the economy has come down? If we consider only the price in 2016, we would say that the rate of inflation has come down or the price of the onion has come down. But if we take the examples or if we take the prices of the many years previously, we will understand that there is high inflation even in 2017 comparing to the different previous years. But when we consider only the last year or the 2016, we will assume that the inflation has come down. But it is not. But that is not the reality. So this is known as the base effect, and this will be, and the change in price in 2016 and 17 is known as high base effect, because in 2016 the price was so high and we are comparing the prices in 2017 with that of 16, we feel that the rate has come down. But if we consider with many years previously, we will understand that still the price of onion is high and still the price is highly inflated in the economy. So this is known as the base effect. So now coming back to measurements of inflation, we have two measurements of inflation. One is the WPI and the second one is the CPI. So what is WPI? It refers to wholesale price index and CPI refers to consumer price index. WPI calculates the rate of inflation at the wholesale level and CPI calculates the rate of inflation at the consumer level or the retail level. WPI in the wholesale level and CPI in the consumer level or the retail level. And that is the reason WPI is also known as wholesale inflation and CPI is also known as retail inflation. In newspapers you will sometimes see retail inflation has increased by this percentage and wholesale inflation has decreased or increased by so many percentage. So that is wholesale inflation and retail inflation. And next we will see the base year. The base year of WPI or the wholesale price index is 2011-12 and CPI is 2012. Here you will see that in case of wholesale price index, a financial year is taken as the base year, and in case of CPI or the consumer price index, a normal year is taken as the base year of CPI. That is, financial year will be starting from April 1st to March 31st and a normal year. So in case of WPI it is a financial year and in case of CPI it's a normal year. Both the WPI and CPI are calculated on a monthly basis. The most important difference between the WPI and the CPI is that WPI takes into consideration only the prices of goods, but CPI takes into consideration goods and services, the prices of both goods and services. But here only goods. In WPI, it's only the prices of the goods. CPI is used for the calculation of dearness allowance. You must remember this point. Dearness allowance of employees are calculated on the basis of CPI. WPI has 676 commodities in their basket. 676 commodities. And these commodities are divided into three groups, namely primary articles, fuel and power, manufactured items. Let us see what are the weightages given to these groups. So groups, number of items and weightage. So number of items in the primary articles are 102. Fuel and power 9 commodities and 555 in the manufactured items, totaling 676 commodities. And the weightage given to this commodities, let us see. Primary articles 20.2%, fuel and power 14.91%, and manufactured items 64.97%, totaling 100. So here you must understand that weightage here means importance, and taking commodities from the first group, that is the primary articles, and the third group, that is manufactured items, which constitute food items, will contribute 24.3%. The weightage is 24.3%. So, when we take commodities from first and third group which are of food items, the weightage is 24.3%. And when it comes to CPI, there are 4 groups of consumers. Let us see which are the 4 groups of consumers in CPI. They are CPI for industrial workers, CPI for agricultural laborers, CPI for urban non-manual employees, and CPI for rural laborers. The first one, CPI for industrial workers. This is estimated by the Labor Bureau. CPI for agricultural laborers. So, CPI for agricultural laborers is used for the fixation of minimum wages by various states. And this is also used for the fixation of wages in Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MNREGA. So, CPI for agricultural laborers are used for the estimation of wages under MNREGA as well as for the minimum wages by different state governments. Next is CPI UNME or Urban Non-Manual Employees. This is used by certain MNCs in fixing the dearness allowance for their employees. Next is CPI Rural Laborers. This is used by certain states along with CPI AL, that is agricultural laborers, for the revision of minimum wages in their states. Next is Producers Price Index. This measures the rate of inflation from the perspective of producers. So with the PPI or the Producers Price Index, we can estimate the rate of inflation till the production stage. So it means that it does not take into account the inflation during the distribution stage, that is traders profit, transportation cost, etc. It will not take into consideration. So now let us discuss about the committee to revise and strengthen the monetary policy framework in India. Committee to revise and strengthen the monetary policy framework. The committee had given its recommendations in the year 2014 January. The committee was chaired by Dr. Urjit Patel, the present governor of the RBI and the then deputy governor of the RBI. Let us see what were the important recommendations given by this committee. The first important recommendation given by this committee was that the RBI should replace WPI with CPI as a nominal anchor for measuring the inflation or as a nominal anchor for monetary policy. That is, replace WPI with CPI. Why? Because WPI, as we discussed, does not consider services. Only goods are taken care in WPI. Also, most of the developed countries has shifted to CPI. And also, CPI measures the impact of inflation directly on the people. So, this was an ideal. So, CPI would be an ideal measurement of inflation. And this recommendation was accepted by the government. The second recommendation given by the committee was that the RBI should endeavour to maintain the rate of inflation at plus or minus 4%. That is 2 to 6%. The RBI must strive to maintain the rate of inflation within 2 to 6%. The next recommendation given by the committee was that the RBI should adopt inflation targeting. What is meant by inflation targeting? Under inflation targeting, the central bank of an economy, so in case of India, the Reserve Bank of India, the central bank of an economy should announce an optimum range or rate of inflation, and it must endeavour to maintain the inflation within that limits. So, the central bank of an economy should announce a rate or a range within which it should be able to control the inflation in the economy. It also means that the central bank or the RBI must give primary importance to the control of inflation. So, the primary focus must be on controlling inflation in the economy. The focus of any central bank would be to maintain a balance between growth and inflation control. In order to increase the growth in the economy, the money supply in the economy should increase. But in order to control the inflation, the money supply should come down. So there is a dilemma between these two objectives. So this is known as monetary policy dilemma. So monetary policy dilemma says that the central bank of an economy has to maintain a balance between growth and inflation, and the primary focus should be on maintaining this balance. The next recommendation of this committee was to abolish the statutory liquidity ratio as it has outlived its utility. You will understand this when you learn about the Basel norms. So Basel norms we will discuss later when we learn banking. So Basel norms has something called capital adequacy ratio. So SLR means, what is SLR? SLR is the percentage of total deposit bank has to keep with itself. CAR or the capital adequacy ratio is also a similar concept which we will learn in your banking module, and when you learn the Basel norms we will explain this later. The next recommendation was the RBI should conduct bi-monthly reviews of monetary policy instead of quarterly reviews. So bi-monthly review of monetary policy. This was also an accepted recommendation. The next important recommendation of this committee was to introduce long-term repos. So we have learned in the repo rate that repos are for shorter period. So this committee recommended the introduction of long-term repos in the economy. The next recommendation of this committee was that the government should reduce the fiscal deficit to 3% by the year 2016-17. If you know what is FRBMA, you will know that FRBMA also recommends 3% as the fiscal deficit of the government. We will learn about the FRBMA later. The next and the most important recommendation of this committee was the constitution of a monetary policy committee. Monetary policy committee is important from any examination point of view. So let us see monetary policy committee in detail. Monetary policy committee was set up by the Finance Act 2016 by amending the RBI Act of 1934. Under the Finance Act 2016, the Monetary Policy Committee has given a statutory status. So, Monetary Policy Committee is a statutory body under the Finance Act of 2016. Finance Act 2016 has amended the RBI Act or the Reserve Bank of India Act of 1934. You must remember this point. The main objectives of the Monetary Policy Committee is to set benchmark rates of interest and also to make the inflation targeting. The Government of India fixes the benchmark rates and the inflation targeting in consultation with the RBI or with the Monetary Policy Committee. Let us see what is the composition of this Monetary Policy Committee. So, MPC consists of 6 members, out of which 3 are from the RBI and 3 from the government. The chairman of this committee is the governor of the RBI. In the MPC, every member has 1 vote each. So, in case of a tie, the governor of the RBI, that is the chairman of this committee, has a vote. The composition of the Monetary Policy Committee is also very, very important. The decisions of the Monetary Policy Committee will be on the basis of voting, with each member having 1 vote, and in case of a tie, the governor will exercise a vote. The minutes of the proceedings of the Monetary Policy Committee will be released to the public with a time lag of 14 days. And this will ensure transparency and accountability. We must understand that most of the developed countries has adopted this Monetary Policy Committee. The next recommendation of this committee was to introduce Debt Management Office. Debt Management Office for the management of public debt. So the committee to revise and strengthen the monetary policy framework is a very important committee from any examination point of view, as most of the recommendations of this committee was accepted by the government. And this committee was chaired by Urjit Patel, the present governor of RBI, and then he was the deputy governor of the Reserve Bank of India. So this is a very, very important committee, and you must remember the important points in this committee, especially the Monetary Policy Committee framework.